Okay, I'm going to crank through this real quick. Here's a login page. Um, User ID, password, and just the ability to select a new deal or edit an existing deal or to sign up. The profile page is just a list of, these are all the deals that have been turned in the past with company name and sales rep, and then they can go in and they can edit any one of these deals and resave it as the same deal or save as a brand new deal with today's date on it. And of course, everything revolves around the main page, which is the main input page. So basically, we've got the customer information. We start with the bill to, and then the contact that goes with that bill to. The ship to is going to mirror what is ever on the bill to. So if I change suite 400 to suite 800, changes it over on the ship to. So it'll automatically, ship to will automatically fill out as the bill to gets filled out. But the user obviously can go in and change the ship to here. If there's more addresses, we go into the customer section and they can pretty much add an unlimited number of addresses that they will select from when they add equipment. So back to main, the equipment financing, pretty much all of it's done here, but there's going to be some other some minor details that when we go to enter additional information, that'll be here. And so, for example, some of this information here, like the day that the equipment gets installed versus the agreement start date, you can see they're a week apart, and in some cases the vendor can bill for that week. It's called transitional billing, and they get a percentage of the service and a percentage of the equipment that they bill. And so there's just a bunch of stuff like that, but that information's mostly defaulted, and it just goes to fill out the funding detail sheet, which as long as that's filled out, everything else is automatic. And this is huge. This is a huge deal to be able to have this filled out because, as you recall, this one gets screwed up or is incomplete more often than any of them. So there's nothing in here that needs to be completed on the page. It's all in the main page and the ancillary page as well. So here's the service. We're just going to add the annual increase for that service, which again populates on the funding detail sheet, and then how often the overages are billed. I'm going to select the equipment here, and I'm going to make these pools default to whatever the category is. So you can see black and white printer automatically sets that as black and white printer for the black and white pool. But if I change it to copier, right here, it'll change it to black and white copier. If it's color copier, keeps the black and white on the black and white pool, adds the color. But again, we can change these. But the selection needs to be one of the pools that we established in the service section. Now we had talked about double clicking somewhere here, or maybe, I don't know, somewhere off to the side, and that would launch a window, which would be this equipment window. And this is huge because this is a great summary. There's 5 pieces of equipment, but I'm not sure if I want everything, all the attachments, et cetera, listed underneath here. Otherwise, for a simple 5 machine deal, you might have to scroll forever. So I think either hovering over it or clicking on it launches, where is it? This one, where we can add, this is the information that came over, pull the MSRP, but here's where we can add the attachments. It'll pull the MSRP for each attachment. The unit location will default to the ship to, but we can select any of the ones that was in that customer list. And then again, I'm not sure if I want to have this here or not, but if we make these static, then maybe they're editable. Maybe they're editable here. I'm not sure. but it's just a nice little summary of each piece of equipment that's on the list. Then the last one, which we hadn't really talked about until recently, was the buyout and the trade up. And the reason we absolutely have to have it in here is this information is really tough to track, and it's incredibly costly when a mistake is made here. So when a sales rep is turning in a deal and they're buying out an existing deal, for example, they could be buying it out, they could be trading up. There's a lot of different scenarios here, but um, what's important is what's being picked up, what's the amount in order to complete this transaction and basically buy out the existing payments in the lease. Are we going to return the equipment? Are they going to keep the equipment? Et cetera, et cetera. Who's the check going to get made out to? When is the actual lease end date? So in other words, when does that equipment have to get back to the lease vendor? Letter of intent date. There's just a bunch of stuff there, and the address of where that equipment is, so that we can tell our driver when you're delivering a new piece of equipment that you're going to pick up this one here. And also, if there's an existing pool, this equipment's being serviced by the dealer, then we got to pull it off the pools as well. So this may be a little overkill, but if there's a place for all this equipment, it's really on the sales rep to fill it out, or we just set the restrictions with the dealer and just say, maybe they can turn in a deal without this, or maybe they're prevented from doing it. But anyway, it's an incredibly important piece. So definitely want to address that immediately. The final thing here are the docs that we're actually going to print out. We've got Wells Fargo's cost per image agreement, all the equipment we selected, and then the pools are down here. Straight, simple customer information. Image management is similar, but there's more pools, and we could probably create at some point a dynamic doc that allows you to enter 8 or 10 or 12 or whatever, but and also telling you specifically what the category is instead of having this information static, which would mean that this is as well. When you're doing multiple pools, this has to go on there too. So it's just a description of what the pools are and what equipment's on them. And the funding detail sheet, again, as I said, incredibly difficult for people to fill out. But, like I said before, if the information's on the front end, it'll populate everything. Just tell us how, what's going into the deal, and this paperwork will fill out itself. It will solve lots and lots of headaches, and it will have a schedule of all future payments on each particular pool of equipment.